How much water should everyone drink every day?
Does coffee and soda count for my daily fluid intake?
The one thing I see people always seem to get wrong with hydration is. Welcome to Talking Schmitz. I'm your host, Nate Schmitz. The goal of this show is to help you improve both mentally and physically. Enjoy the show.
So while the weather is heating up, we thought it would be apropos to make this episode about hydration. Right, Nate?
Yeah, general today, we're going to hopefully your takeaways will be why hydration is so important, ways to tell if you're dehydrated or overhydrated, and good options for hydration and how to hydrate. So you get a little mini course and what it does for you, and hopefully you get to feel the effects of being properly hydrated into this warmer weather, which will help you enjoy it much more.
And we all kind of agree that hydration is something that is very important and essential to life. But you should also be able to recognize if you're dehydrated. So some of those signs of dehydration include if your urine is starting to get darker and kind of grosser looking. That would mean that it's more concentrated.
What if I just had a bunch of rock stars? Does that count?
It would look interesting. It's a nice experiment you should try. So your urine will be more concentrated. You'll also notice that you're not urinating as much. Other signs include dry lips and dry mucous membranes, which will also increase the risk of developing cavities. So, very important to stay hydrated there. If your fluid is low, that can also lower your blood pressure, which will decrease perfusion in the body, affecting all the organs of the body, including your brain. So, that's why you can end up feeling lightheaded if you're not drinking enough. You can end up having brain fog and also lethargy. Because a lot of the times people don't drink until they feel thirsty, but thirst is actually a later sign of dehydration.
Ooh, good to know.
So try to stay hydrated before it gets to that point. You don't want to get caught in that thirst trap. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, well done. Yes. Yeah, that one, yeah, the ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Yeah, that all makes a lot of sense as to some of the signs of dehydration and why it's so important. I think a lot of people forget just how many parts of the body hydration impacts, even though most people will be familiar with the our body's over 70% water statement. And even though they know that, they tend to instantly forget it when it comes to hydration, which is kind of funny.
Maybe because water doesn't taste as good as other things these days.
Oh, yeah, we're exposed to so much flavor, it's ridiculous. But water is still the champion, the king, the number one hydrator.
Source of life ever since ancient times is water for a reason.
Yes. And speaking of different body parts it impacts, it's actually incredibly important for your joint health as well. And so if you've been listening and you're doing your exercise routine, it'll literally grease all those joints for you, keeping them well hydrated so they're not so stiff or brittle. They'll become more resilient, they'll be more elastic, they'll be spongier
Hmm.
just from being properly hydrated. If you aren't, so when you are dehydrated, you'll actually notice a reduction of your physical capacity all around, which will reduce your performance, which will reduce your recovery, and it will reduce your power and overall gains you can get in the gym just by being dehydrated.
Would it affect your risk for injury?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, when you're not having applicable strength and your joints aren't as, we'll go stretchy or resilient, yeah, you're more prone to tears and muscle cramps and just a lot of different injuries that can happen just from being improperly hydrated.
Sounds like it's a good idea to stay hydrated just to prevent those things. Pretty easy fix.
Oh, yeah, it's easy fix. It's some of the lowest hanging fruit for overall performance and just health. And that's part of why we can't stress enough how important this seemingly simple discussion is. Like, hey, drink enough water. It's that simple, but it impacts every area of your life. And so, based off of the importance of it, how much water should everyone drink every day?
Good question. So, your daily water recommendation will vary based on a variety of factors like your size, your biological sex, things like activity level, whether or not you're sick or have an infection, and even the weather outside. So, a good first goal is to aim for half your body weight in ounces per day. So if you weigh 200 pounds, try to shoot for 100 ounces of water, being an initial goal for yourself as a baseline, and then you can adjust from there.
Oh, nice. That's pretty simple. That's good to know.
For all our listeners that live in the desert or by the equator, you might need a little bit more water.
Oh, yes, that one is, yeah, definitely one of those factors.
And another common question: does coffee and soda count for my daily fluid intake?
The answer may actually surprise you. As a general rule, no, coffee and soda does not hydrate you. But in this beautiful day and age we live in, we have better quality coffees and quote unquote sodas available that actually are incredibly hydrating. I.e., a lot of the coffees out there that will go super clean, they still act as a diuretic, but they're way more hydrating and they don't force you to use the restroom nearly as quickly or nearly as much because your body's not trying to expel everything else that's in the coffee. And then same for the sodas as well. So not sponsored by any of these guys, but brands like Olipop or Poppy or even Liquid Death got into the soda game, or Zevia is another good one. They're literally just carbonated water without any of the other like bad ingredients. So they're incredibly hydrating sodas. But if you're not drinking any of those ones aforementioned, then you're not hydrating. You're actually dehydrating yourself. And to add a little note onto this one to kind of put the cherry on top, alcohol doesn't count as fluid either.
No.
I know.
I
Sorry
can't
to
just
disappoint.
I can't just booze it up at the gym when I'm doing my cardio.
Yeah, the beer hydration technique, little known secret for all the giant muscles you see out there.
That's the thing with those caffeinated beverages, like the energy drinks, the coffees, the sodas, that caffeine is a natural diuretic, which
Hmm.
will lead you to urinating more, which can increase the risk for dehydration, if not counterbalance with sufficient water intake. So, even though you might read some recommendations that say that things like coffee can be a part of the fluid intake, do keep that in mind that different fluids will affect your hydration in nuanced ways.
But that being said, now that we've gone over general hydration rules, i.e., half the body weight, ways to tell you're dehydrated, and other things that do and don't count toward your hydration levels, the one thing I see people always seem to get wrong with hydration is not taking into account their activity levels. And one of the simplest ones you can look up yourself if you'd like, but it's the Galpin equation. This is more specifically for during your training. And if you hit these goals during training, it'll also help you hit your hydration goals pre and post training as well, because you'll be properly hydrated. So it's your fluid intake is going to be your body weight in pounds divided by about 30, and suggest you want about this much fluid, hopefully hydrating fluid as a key thing, every 15 to 20 minutes during your physical activity. Say you weigh 180 pounds, to make this a little more of a round number, you're going to want 180 divided by 30, which will give you 6. You're going to want 6 ounces of water every 15 to 20 minutes of exercises. And that doesn't mean you just have to chug 6 ounces. Over that 15 to 20 minutes, you can drink an ounce at a time to get up to the 6 ounces as well. It
You can
does.
sip on it.
Yes, you can sip on your water, but you want to be reaching that, say, 6 ounce example every 15 to 20 minutes. So over an hour long workout, you want anywhere from 18 to 24 ounces of extra fluid to counteract your utilization of the hydration your body's going through, i.e., potential sweating or just overall activity levels.
And by following the Galpin equation, like you're saying, staying properly hydrated during the training process, you will be able to do more and perform better in the gym, get better quality workouts, leading to better gains.
Oh, yeah. And then the other one that's, well, the ladies are catching up on this one, but to really hit this home for you guys out there, when you're properly hydrated during a workout, you get better pumps and you look more vascular. You're welcome. Now that we've gone over a little more of the niche specific stuff for activity levels, what are some of the more practical applications and takeaways with hydration?
Let's get into it. So, the first tip that we recommend is that you can increase your hydration by doing the 1-to-1 rule. So, for every non water beverage that you have 1 glass of water.
Makes sense.
So let's say you have a cup of coffee, drink a water. A diet soda, wash it down with a glass of water. You can also start your day with a glass of water first thing in the morning. So if you're already taking supplements or medicines, take it with 8 to 16 ounces of water.
Oh, nice.
If you drink a gallon of vodka,
1 gallon of water.
you'll probably go to the hospital after that.
Yes, but that is still a great rule, even for when you are having a night out with friends as well. Have that 1-to-1 ratio. You'll still get a nice buzz, but you'll also prevent a lot of the hangover and more negative effects of having had all that alcohol.
I would argue you would have a better time following the 1-to-1 rule if you're drinking socially or having fun with all that.
Yep. And now, one of the things I know you've been waiting for, what type of water should we be drinking? And one of the first things I like to recommend to people is natural spring water. It's got a lot of the electrolytes and things of that nature already naturally occurring in them. And so it's got a great mineral balance. So you're going to be more properly hydrated just by getting natural spring water. That being said, if it sounds too, bougie to buy some of those Fijis or Natural Valley or any of the fancy waters, the budget friendly version is going to be adding a pinch of baking soda and sea salt to your water to mineralize it. And then you made your own, we'll call it homemade natural spring water. And it saves you a lot of money, just again, a pinch so that you don't really taste anything, but it'll mineralize your water so that it's more hydrating for you. And i.e., it's called fixing your dead water because while there's a lot of diseases and pathogens that can potentially be in spring water, that's why we have treatment systems like reverse osmosis. It'll clean out all of those things, but then it also cleans out a lot of the minerals. And so it's actually going to pull minerals from your system as opposed to properly hydrating you. So by re adding the minerals or drinking natural spring water, you'll actually be properly hydrated or liven up your water.
And that's something I forget a lot too, that not all water is built the same, and that a big part of hydration is not just the H2O, but also the other minerals that are present in water that we need to also be able to be functional, including all of the electrolytes. So, another tip that you can consider if you can afford them, those liquid IV packets are also wonderful for being able to stay properly hydrated and keeping your electrolytes also well balanced. If you're dehydrated from an infection or you're having a lot of diarrhea, if you have a lot of diarrhea, you're losing a lot of electrolytes such as sodium and potassium. It can actually be quite dangerous. And if it's excessive, you should probably go to a hospital or call 911. But it's better to hydrate using electrolyte drinks, such as things like your over the counter Pedialyte, those electrolyte solutions to get a well rounded hydration benefit.
Oh, yeah. And definitely aim for the sugar free versions because they're going to be much healthier for you instead of just drinking Kool Aid. Yeah, well, again, sugar is not inherently bad, but when you're not as active as most people, just getting a sugar-free hydration packet is going to do more, and you'll need more of the sugar if you are, say, a really active athlete. But beyond that, most of us aren't, so go for the sugar-free.
And it also makes your water taste better.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite thing about it is most people, myself included, I like variety of flavors in my beverages. And so even I don't drink just water every day. And so I love these electrolyte packets for that. It gives you a nice change up of flavor. There's all sorts of flavors to fit your flavor profile, pink lemonades, grapes and fruit punches and raspberry. It's so good. So good. That being said, in terms of tasty hydration. Another one that often gets overlooked is water rich foods. They actually do contribute to your overall hydration levels. And so this is where tasty fruits, first one that hopefully comes to everybody's mind is watermelon. It's got water in the name. And so it's going to help you get a little more hydrated.
It's a great clue.
Yes.
Great way to remember it.
But yes, melons, grapes, any juicy fruits are going to help you hydrate. And they have natural balances of a lot of the vitamins and minerals in them as well. So they're even more properly hydrating. And the main difference I'll generally recommend for people is eat the whole fruit over drinking like a fruit juice. So don't try and trick yourself similar to the high sugar content of some of the electrolyte mixes out there. Eat the food, and you'll always enjoy it more and be better hydrated.
Yeah, it's a good thing that we get water from food, unless you're on a diet of cinnamon crackers
Oh, jeez.
only. You're gonna get some hydration from your food, but those fruits, picking your favorite fruits that you enjoy, is such a great way to get that hydration requirement in a yummy way, and also a nutritious way with all the extra vitamins.
And then to top it all off, kind of bonus tip, just always have water available, not necessarily straight from your sink, but have some water bottles in the fridge or a pitcher of water in your fridge or a gallon water container in your home. Just always have it available so that you have access to it rather than being caught in a situation where, say, you have no water, but you have an electrolyte packet and you're just trying your best to get the mineralization in your system and making that sour, pouty face trying to just eat the packet.
Somehow manly, but please don't do that.
Yeah.
Do not dry powder electrolyte packets or protein powder.
Yes, please don't. So, yes, always have water available. That way you have no excuses not to drink it.
So now that we got to talk about why hydration is so important, some of those most common recommendations that you can try to implement, as well as some practical tips. We hope that you found this information useful.
Yeah, and this is our invitation for you to come have a drink with us.
Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Talking Schmitz. Remember to subscribe, leave us a review, and share us with your friends. Your support helps us reach more people and continue bringing you quality content. You can find us on Instagram at talking_Schmitz, and we'll catch you next time.